Well, today, again, we're going to come in under the umbrella of the father and son connection, and where we will talk about a variety of things that impact the African American community. And today, we want to talk about our public educational system and under I guess, the rubric of racism. I mean, we don't really have to say that. We just need to talk about the condition of our public school system and its effect on our children. And we're going to talk a little bit about what the report card is of the schools right today. What is the report card? How are they doing with our children? You know, what are they saying? This is the beginning of a new school year. What are they saying they're going to do about anything? You know, with the threats from uh, the president of the United States for shutting down the Department of Education to, you know, uh, the poor salaries of the teachers and the high overhead with the administrators making six figures, those kind of things. What are they going to do to help our children stop dropping out of school in such large rates and
Hmm.
graduating or being pushed out of school where they're functionally illiterate? They can't
Hmm.
read, they can't do mathematical problems, their social skills are diminishing. You know, what are they going to do about any of that?
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
so that's kind of what some of the things we'll talk about. We'll talk about the salaries of the teachers and the salaries of the administrators. Talk about the
Hmm.
cyberbullying, the kinds of things that our youngsters are having to be confronted with today are scary to me.
Yeah.
I'm an
Yeah.
octogenarian. I'm a senior citizen. I've been around a long time, and it's very scary to me because we didn't have these kinds of things. We had things to deal with, but not like
Not like social media.
cyberbullying, like cyberbullying.
Hmm.
You could never told me anything about that. We had to deal with bullying right there, where somebody was dealing with you one-on-one bullying.
Right
Well,
in your face.
you got a
Hmm.
fair shot, but that cyberbullying, that can be very damaging. That can be very damaging to youngsters. That puts a lot of pressure on them.
You
And
know, there's a lot of there's high suicide rates in the youth, and
mhm,
it's directly tied to cyberbullying.
yeah, 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 yeah. I've seen that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so
And so
and
there's a
so.
lot of pressure when it comes to social media.
Right.
And that's why I do like what they're experiencing now, cuz my kids are in school. They're both, well, one is in college and another's in high school, but this year with Eli's school, they took away the phones. No phones during lunch, no phones during class, no phones anywhere. And even though the kids are a little upset, I'm like, well, that's good. It's good that you guys don't have your phones out, because a lot of fights happen because you can easily post, "Hey, we about to be in the bathroom," on your snap, and the next thing you know, it's everywhere.
Hmm.
And so, that's too much access. That's too much access. So I can see why they would want to, ban that. But on the flip side, I know my son concern is the mass school shootings, because even recently there was a school shooting. And it's like, what do you do if something like that happens? And I'm like, well, you still have your phone on you. You can still use it. What they're trying to get you guys to do is just not be on it as much. So
Hmm.
cyberbullying is real. And I do see that this year in their schools that they're making an effort to reduce that.
Hmm. Well, and I think that's a good thing. I think it's a day late and a dollar short
Yeah.
because our kids are already addicted. They're already addicted to the phone, so it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
they are.
It doesn't matter. They'll just make it up. They're going to certainly make it up. I guarantee tell you that they're going to make up that time. So they that should have been planned out in the beginning. Again, this is one of the things that major corporations and companies do because they're so greedy. They put things
Mm,
out before they really test it. So now they
mm,
put it out there
mm.
now that they see that their kids are getting all messed up because they're living off of those things. They said, "Oh, let's cut it out now." Well, hey, I mean, I'm walking in the park this morning. I'm watching these young kids walking to school on their phone. They ain't even looking up.
Yeah, they're not even looking up. They're not
Okay,
even looking
okay.
at the
So
clouds, the
now, when you
sky.
when you look at the president's immigration plan, where they're going around and lifting people up off the streets, where your kid is walking down the street, ain't paying any attention with that phone. See what I'm saying? You
Mhm.
know, it's kind of late. But anyway, I think that that's a good thing that they implemented that, and they're going to do that. I want to know what their report card is in terms of dropout rates. I mean, African American males for the last 50 years, their numbers have been going up and up and up.
Mm.
And nobody seems to be saying anything or trying to do anything about that. I mean, are we going to just say that this is a lost cause, that we can't do anything to help these guys? I know better than that because I'm a lifetime educator, and I know better that we can
Mhm.
do better than that. And the kinds
Mhm.
of things that they can do better than that is they can hold teachers more accountable, they can hold parents more accountable, and they can hold the administration and the school boards and those people more accountable. Everybody has to play a part in trying to improve the damage that has been done to our children. Nobody
Mhm.
in the city of Columbus, Ohio, gives a hoot about the fact that from 2005 to 2010, okay, which was 5 years, the Columbus Public School was a lawsuit was filed against them. They went to court. They found them guilty of pushing African American kids out, all
Mhm.
all kids, but specifically African Americans, pushing them out, and they had not passed those standardized tests.
So just
That's
pushing them through school, having them go
yes,
grade after grade, and
right,
still not improving their literacy rate.
right. And so then when you put those children out, when you graduate those children, okay, you're
Mhm.
talking 2010. This is 2025. Okay, that's 15 years, almost 20 years, whatever. Okay,
Mhm.
what happened to those youngsters? They didn't go back and re-educate them. They didn't let them come back to school. They didn't say you guys got to come back
Mhm.
to school. They did
Mhm.
nothing to do that. So now those students are parents. So how do they
Mhm.
teach their children with all of this new stuff that's coming down the pipe when they don't know anything about it?
When they're not literate themselves.
Right. So what we're doing is passing it on generationally, and it's still
Mhm.
no stop the bleeding. What do you do to stop the bleeding?
Mhm.
One
Mhm.
of the other things that we know, you and I know, is they have to make the curriculum more relevant.
Yeah.
They have to make public school. Everything in this country has changed over the last 100 years except the public school system. They still teaching our kids Christopher Columbus discovered America. And
Yeah.
everybody on the planet Earth knows is that not true.
Yeah. My
See
son
what I'm
was,
saying?
I still have a child in the educational system, so I know what they teach him. He came home today because he's learning US history as one of his classes. And this is the advanced, the honors class of US history. And they're still teaching that Christopher Columbus
Yeah.
discovered America, even though it has been debunked and it's worldwide. You can't hide it. They're still teaching it. So that, and when I talk to my son about that, I say we have to look at it from a perspective. Why do they still teach that to the youth? Why are they still teaching that to their children?
Mm,
It's because they want to portray an image that they are the discoverers, they are the explorers, they're the ones that, found and discovered.
scientists, the
They're the
academicians.
scientists. They're the
Yeah.
yeah, they're
Right. Yeah.
that they're the greatest. But
Right.
in turn, when you do that, you're canceling out the history of others.
That's right. Right.
And that's the detriment. And that's what the solution is we have to teach our own contributions.
Right. 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 We have to teach our own. Again, I think the schools miss a great opportunity with the immigration that we have in this country now, based on what it was back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. We have a mass infusion of immigrants coming in from other countries. The public school system has done nothing to address that. They just flood the kids into the school, and they don't do any kind of social orientation for the incoming students or the students that are already there at the school. They do nothing to cut the edge on difference. You know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
come in
And
from a different country, you come in, you don't know the rules, you don't know the customs, you don't know what values of things are. So you're finding your way. But by the same token, if I'm born and raised in the inner city and I ain't never seen anybody but black people my whole life, then I got a whole different kind of orientation. So we need to do some kind of social orientation. And when I worked in one of the universities, one of the things that I did was I had a quote unquote multicultural. They called diversity multicultural when it first started out.
mhm,
That's what it was called. It was multicultural. Then they said it was diversity. Okay, so what I did was I had uh, each one of the ethnic groups on the campus. They
mhm,
had a day. They had a day. They could dress in their own country's apparel. They could
mhm,
bring their own food. They could bring their music.
mhm.
They could bring their anything of art and whatever that they wanted to bring, and introduce the rest of the campus to their culture. Okay, so now you know that you can't go around patting certain little boys on their head. That's against their value system.
Yeah. Yeah.
an affront to their person. Okay,
Yeah.
you can't invade a person's body space. There's a space that
Mhm,
we have. You can't just get up all in their face and stuff. You
mhm.
can't. You could cut out the laughing at the hijabs that the women wear. You could cut
Yeah.
if they knew why they wore them, the purpose that they wore them for. That would cut out a lot
Yeah.
of that crap. But they just dump them in the school, and then the kids then start laughing, making comments about them, negative comments, because they haven't had any kind of social orientation. That these
And
are human
integration.
beings.
Yeah.
These are human beings just like you and I. They come from a different country and they come with different cultures and different values. That's why we're going to school here, so we can learn about the differences in all the world.
Yeah. Yeah. That is right there because when I hear about what Eli talks about with me, I'm looking at the education system, there's a level of intolerance of other cultures. It's the
Absolutely.
only culture that is tolerated, that is accepted, that is valued, that is looked at is really white culture, white society.
Right.
And and so even when they teach slavery in school, there's no there's no pride when it comes to black people. So then the kids there laugh. They laugh at things that
Mhm.
look are funny to them. They laugh at things that are different from them because there's no cultural integration inside the schools. They
Right.
set
Right.
the standard and
There's no.
everybody has to just achieve that standard. There's no tolerance of other people's cultures and identities.
Right. Well, that's one of those terms. That's one of those anthropological terms that they use and camouflage it. It's called ethnocentrism.
Mm.
When you impose your culture's values on others, okay? The United States has done that all over the
Yeah.
world. When they travel, everywhere they go, they come with a superiority complex
Mhm.
that whatever your stuff is about is inferior to
Yeah,
ours.
exactly.
You
Yeah,
know,
and it gives the kids
so
tools
so they
to
built that. So they built that. Yeah, so they built that into the system. See what I'm saying? First of all, think about this: your forefathers were not slaves. Okay, so what they did was because they enslaved us, they captured us out of our country, okay, and drug us over here, okay. Then they said we were slaves, okay, as opposed to we were enslaved. See, because if they're going to tell the right history, say you were a slave, then you got to say how they. And now that's
yeah.
where the real true history is. But they don't do that.
Mhm.
They just label it as slaves, like you're inferior, you're dumb, you didn't
Yeah,
do anything.
yeah,
There
yeah.
was no rebellions, there was nothing. You just came over and was happy to be over here. Like
Mhm,
that governor down there in Florida, DeSantis, talking about slavery. Slavery was like on the job training or some kind of thing. He tried to make it like it
mhm.
was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
benefit. No, you were enslaved. We have to keep telling our young people they were enslaved. That means somebody put you enslaved.
Mm,
Okay. So that
mhm,
means you can get out. If somebody
mm,
puts you in, you can get out of that. Okay.
mm,
And the way you get
mhm,
out of that is you shoot down their history. and the only way you can shoot down their history is know yours.
Mm.
If you know
No.
yours, they can't touch you. First of all, if they go in there and tell the teacher, well, based on the studies that I've done, based on the research that I've done, Christopher Columbus was lost. He went to Hispaniola. That's not the United States.
He
He
was
went
in
to
India.
Hispaniola. Yeah. Okay. And the people told him that there were Africans before him.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? So they don't want to tell that part of the history.
It's
See,
written in his diaries, in
diary,
his.
right. So they don't want to do
Mhm.
that because again, their whole foundations crumbles when you start putting in correct history. First of all,
Mhm.
how can you have world history and not have African history in it? How does that
No contribution.
how
No
can how
contribution.
can that possibly when everything came out of Africa?
And that is a highlight of the racism that is found in the educational system
Absolutely.
because it doesn't share any contribution of melanated beings, Africans on this planet. It doesn't share
Right,
that. Like
right.
I talk and teach about the Moors, about how it was Black Africans that went into Europe to uplift them out of the Dark
The
Ages.
Dark Ages.
I remember going into the school system, I to talk to Eli's teacher because they were teaching them that they were reading the How to Kill a Mockingbird book, and I was telling him that book is offensive, highly offensive for a African child to sit here and read through that, to sit through that. And I told him like there's other things that you can if you want to teach, the history, there's other things you could teach. And I was telling him about, Moors, about how we uplifted and our contribution to uplifting the white Europeans out of dark ages. And he was like, yeah, yeah, I heard about them. And I was like, why don't you teach it? And he just said, yeah, I know. Hmm. Yeah.
Again, see, that's the thing. That's the
They
thing
know
about
it. They
yeah,
know, but they don't
absolutely.
want to teach it because they want to uphold a white supremacist ideology, is that
They,
they want to
but,
teach about
but you
themselves.
can't. But you can't blame them. They've had the best of everything for 400 years. They've had first dibs on everything, inventions, creations, everything. Okay. So they're not. So the question then becomes, why would they help you get free? How could that work for them? That means that they have to give up something. They don't want to give up anything. They
Privilege.
don't want to give up anything. Okay. And so
Mhm.
we have to stop buying into that we're all together, we're all come together, and we're all will overcome. And we have to look out for us. Marcus Garvey said, black first. We got to say that. Asians say
Yeah.
that.
Yep. They say it
Mexicans say,
all the time.
Hispanics say that. Okay.
Hmm.
They're first. They're first. Caucasians definitely say
They
first.
it's all
And so
over their
what
society.
we
Whites are
we're,
first.
we're
Yep.
just kind of the also rans. No, we got to say we're first. Again,
Hmm.
one of the things that will blow a lot of people's mind is to know and come to the realization and be able to accept it is that we are the original people.
Yeah.
And we have a hard time dealing with that. I'll get so many arguments. People will argue with me. I'm talking about African people. They're going to argue with me about that for you. It's written
But
out there, laid out there for you to do that.
it
They
is.
prove it
It is.
statistically, they prove it with the numbers. You can look at where they found the first human bones. This is come on. I mean, how much more do you need to know? And then
Well,
when you look at all the things that have been done to us as a people, when to society, that's not a balance there. There's not a good balance there. All the things that we've given to society, civilization, and then for us to be treated the way we're treated, that shows an inferiority complex. That's a serious inferiority complex that Caucasians fear African Americans because of our gifts, our talents, our intellect, and our
our natural
contributions
ability.
to civilization.
Hmm.
See what I'm saying? And so
Hmm.
that what they did was flip the script and make everything black negative. If you look in the dictionary, every word that starts with black is negative. Okay. So they program us to see that, we didn't contribute anything. what the hell is those pyramids? Those this one of the seven wonders of the world. They had seven wonders. I don't think there's seven now. They got rid of, stole them, whatever. But that's one of the seven wonders in there for 7,000 years, and that left our ancestors left the messages for everybody to hear. If you live your life by the principles of Ma'at, nobody, everybody's taken care of. If you look at how far away we are from that, it's light years. We're so far. Again, our ancestors didn't have, they never get hungry. When you get up in the morning, you go on your walks. If you walk in the park and you see birds or you see ducks, if you see whatever, they don't get up worried about what they're going to find to eat. They know it's going to be there. That's the way it's supposed to be for us. But somebody came in and flipped the script on us and said, let's take control of the land. We can say we own it, make people sign some kind of paper and say that they've given it to us. And from then on, we control that land. Well, that's not what it's supposed to be about. So they gave them the land, the gold rush days when all them Europeans were emptied, they emptied the jails in Europe and said, you know, go on over there and make some of yourself over there. Now, all they had to do was they could ride their horse and they could go to a plot of land and they could say, oh, I want this territory. And all they had to do was stick a stake in the ground and it was theirs. Well, what about you today? What about you today, young lady? You wanted you a nice home. You like a nice 6-bedroom home or whatever. You got to pay them $5 million. So somewhere the script got flipped on us.
Yeah.
Thing that happens in our schools. When our children had one-room schoolhouse, one teacher, maybe 4 or 5 books or whatever. Our kids learn. Look at all the things that they invented coming out of the 19th century. Look at all the great inventions that came out. They didn't have no education. How did they do that? Okay, because the Europeans go counter to anything that's African. They go counter that. They try to go do the counter that. When they knew that the education, when the Greeks came into Kemet, Egypt, they knew that our ancestors taught that to educate means to draw out. It means to draw out. You already come here with everything you need to do what God has put you here to do. And you have dominion over everything here. But somebody flipped the script on us and oh, you don't have it. We got dominion over this. Chosen people. We're the original people.
God is not within you. It's outside of you. We God now.
Yeah. You know, so they flipped the script on us. So we're looking for God outside of ourselves, and you're gonna lose every time on that. You know, all the sacred sciences say that the Creator is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. Okay, if the Creator has those character traits, you have them. Not to the degree that because the Creator is not a he. The Creator is not a man. So you can't give man character traits and qualities to him like the Creator gets mad. Why would the Creator have to get mad? The Creator is going to punish you. Why would the Creator have to punish you?
That's the white man saying that. The white man going to judge you. The white man going to punish you. The white man going to do all that.
Yeah, because they want to get you conditioned to look outside yourself for everything so then they can feed this. You know, and so that's what they're still doing with our young kids. If you look at the public school system, they're now, I mean, to me, it's a personal insult to listen to Caucasians say that we're going to just stop teaching African history.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We're just going to remove all your stuff. It's too controversial.
Could you imagine what that would be like if they said they want to say one of the other groups, we're just going to stop having your history? All hell would be breaking loose. But they can say that with ease, where we're just going. Now, first of all, we had to fight and die to get the little bit of history that we got in there. And so now you're saying, no, we're just taking all of that out. What does that say about your sense of humanity. You're telling the world
Yeah,
that you
exactly.
feel telling the world that you feel inferior to these people, so you got to deny them their history. That's what the
Mm.
message is.
Mhm.
You know, it's there.
Mhm.
It's there. And I mean, a youngster can just Google that stuff. I mean, come on. It's there.
Mhm.
How much do you want? I mean, I can give you quotes from Caucasians that say we are the original people. That Herodotus, uh,
Mhm.
Socrates, Plato,
Mhm. Mhm.
Pythagorean,
They studied in
all of
chemistry.
them studied, all of them studied under us.
Mhm.
Okay. But now they flipped the script. We didn't made no contributions. We don't do it. I mean, it's just on and on. So please, Governor DeSantis and that governor down in Texas, please don't give up on that thing. That's not going to work for you. The biggest fear that they have is that their children will see how brutal and violent and vicious and murderous they were. That's what their biggest fear is. They don't care that we know that Christopher Columbus did discover America. They don't want their kids to know what they did. All the
Yeah, that is true.
experimentation, all the experimentation
True.
that they did on the women, all the things that they did on women, operated on women with no anesthesia, just to see if something worked. I mean, uh, all the different horrific things that they've done to us, and we still don't have the bitterness and anger and hatred that any other group probably would have toward them, because we are humane people. We are a humane people. We
Mhm.
understand that we live in coordination with nature. The European is the only one that fights against nature
Mm.
to control
They
it.
don't vibrate on a harmonic frequency with the sun
Yeah,
or with nature or with
yeah,
any other species.
yeah.
Mhm.
So again, when you look at our schools, I did some work, and I was working in a couple of schools, suburban schools, a couple of years back,
Mhm.
and they wanted me to do some intervention work with some of the teenage boys,
Mhm.
and they gave me about 20 boys, and out of that 20 boys, I would say 18 of them had report cards with nothing but F's.
Oh my goodness. Jeez.
Those students didn't care that they had F's. When I talked to them about it, they didn't care. Their parents didn't care. Okay. So what are we doing with our boys? What are we doing with our children? We're not teaching them. And if you look at how fast technology is moving, they're further and further behind. How many of our children are sophisticated in AI? A whole bunch of them don't even know what it is. And that's their future.
Mm.
That's their future. So they're already behind. Okay. So they'll
Mm.
be light years behind when they finally wake up.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So the schools are not preparing our young people to go out and
Black
survive in the
people.
world. Look
No.
at all the youngsters. Look at all the youngsters now are having to stay at home. They 24, 25. They can't afford to leave because the
Mm.
schools didn't prepare them. See,
Mm.
see, they want to say it's the kids. Well, the kids is having a hard time, or there ain't no jobs. No, 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 no. If you properly educate a person, they can take care of themselves.
That's right.
If you
That's right.
properly educate a person, they can take. I was 18 years old when I got out of high school. I didn't know jack about anything. Okay,
Mhm.
I was. I joined the military. I was swooped up. I was taken all the way across the country. I
Mm.
had never been out of my backyard. Now I'm way out on the West Coast. I'm
Mhm.
looking at a totally new environment. People are doing different things. They dress differently. They listen to different
Yeah.
music. They eat different foods.
Mhm.
All out of step. People are saying, "Who is this odd guy?" Okay. Our schools are not preparing our children to go out. And again, I told you I've been in education for a long time. And when I worked in public K-12, I used to argue every year that the school districts needed to have a class for graduating seniors on how to plan for the real world of work. They
Mhm.
should be mandatory course that they have to take,
Yeah.
because our kids don't know anything about. They don't know where to go look for a job. They don't know how to go. Come on.
They don't know how to navigate the system.
Yeah, they don't know how to navigate the system. So they get out there,
Mhm.
and once they get 4 or 5 rejections, now they go smoke a blunt and they're gonna be laid out all the rest of the day, chilling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Telling
Yeah.
lies to your parents. Yeah, I'll look for a job. Yeah, I wouldn't look for it.
Mhm.
It's too disheartening. They don't
Yeah.
understand that racism, institutional racism. They never teach that. Whenever they talk about racism, they never talk about institutional racism.
No.
Institutional racism
Systemic. Yes.
is a system is in place that it perpetuates
Mhm.
racism.
That's the
Okay?
information I was looking for when I went to school. I wanted to understand the system, but they don't teach you the system. They don't teach you
No,
the big picture. They
no.
just teach you the problems.
hmm hmm They give you the problem and no answers.
And no.
and no answers. Like I said, when you think about, again, like if you go back and break it down psychologically,
Mhm.
most school teachers have taken psychology courses, and most
Mm.
school teachers know that there's left brain people and there are right brain people. Most teachers know that African right brain, we're mostly
Mhm.
right brain.
Creative.
Right
Mhm.
brain is more creative. That means
Mhm.
that we have the intellect. See, they try to pretend that we don't have the intellect. No, we got the left side. We got the left side. Okay, we got the left side of the brain too. But what happens is what makes us so good is that we
Mhm.
take that creativity and take whatever we had that's concrete and shape it into our own.
Mhm.
That's what we do. Look at Michael Jordan. He transformed basketball. Look at Tiger
Mhm.
Woods. He transformed golf. Look at Venus and
Mhm.
Serena Williams. They transform. See, we take whatever is out there and we make it better.
Mhm. It's that melanin.
Eli Whitney didn't discover the cotton gin. It was a brother out there picking that cotton to discover that cotton gin. See
That's
what I'm saying?
right.
He just took the credit for it. See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So the
Mhm.
schools don't want to teach us, our children that because, and then another piece. This is real near and dear to your heart. So this may be a segue in for you to take this on. Is the melanin?
Yeah.
The melanin.
Mhm.
They don't want
Mhm.
our children to know about melanin. They don't want black people to know about melanin.
Mm-mm.
See what I'm saying?
Nope. Mm-mm.
And they've been
Mm-mm.
studying it ever since back to day one. They now try to manufacture it. See what I'm saying? Because they
Mhm.
know that melanin gives us an edge over them
It allows us, it gives us
intellectually,
access to higher
physicality.
levels of consciousness.
Right, right. They know that. And so they keep that way away from you. So
Yeah.
again, that's why they
Yeah.
make everything black negative. But
Yeah.
if you look at our youngsters, if you just look at our youngsters, go to any average city, inner city, look at how many of our youngsters always wear black.
Oh man.
See what I'm
Eli
saying?
loves wearing black.
That's
I
what I'm
mean, I
saying.
love wearing black.
That's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. That's what I'm saying. But
Mhm.
see, we
I
don't see
love
the
it.
connect. We don't see the connect. Again,
Yeah, it's like,
our
what is that
forefathers,
connection to just all black?
yeah,
Mhm.
your forefathers were the mountain of the moon. They call it it was Tanganyika when I was a youngster.
Mm.
Now it's Tanzania. Okay,
Mm. Wow.
that they have a place they call the mountain of the moon. That was where the first human fossils were found at the
Mm.
mountain of the moon. Okay. Now, that's in the heart of Africa. So, how
Mm.
can they try to come up with something else? You don't have European skeletons and stuff until like about the 1500s.
Mm.
See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So they're Johnny come.
Mm.
See, ours is historical. And then again, our forefathers and ancestors built those pyramids to prove it. They said,
Yes.
we'll build something that will stand the test of time.
Yes.
See what
Yes.
I'm saying? And they're
Mhm.
still there. So then what they did was they said, well, we'll just excavate Egypt, Kemet out of Africa. They tried to do that and say that was Middle East.
Mm.
They can't do that. See what I'm saying?
Mm.
Kemet
Mm. Mm.
is
Mm.
Africa. See what I'm saying? Those were
Mhm.
African people that did that. Look at those statues, Ramses, Akhenaten. Look at those guys. They got thick lips.
Yes.
Okay,
Even though they
they
knocked the nose down, the
look
lips,
at
you can't
look at
hide the
look at
lips now.
look at look at the fact that most of the major statues, males, have the nose blown
Yep.
off. That ain't no coincidence. On the Sphinx, Napoleon took the time out to put a guy with an artillery gun to blow the nose off. Okay, they did not want any remnants, and today they're still trying to say that those Arabs that are occupy Kemet now are the original people. They're not.
No, they just inherited. They're
No, they
occupying
didn't
the
inherit it. They
ruin.
invaded us. They invaded us. We were
Mhm.
weary because we've been beaten down by all the Persians, all the Greeks,
Yep.
all the Romans. I mean, just
Mhm.
on and on.
The
They
constant
look
fight.
at them today. Look at them today. They're like vultures on Africa. Look at China, India, the United States, Russia, all of them, just all over Africa, trying to gulp it up because Africa is the breadbasket of the world.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And we get
Mhm.
no benefit. Those that were stolen from our content, our country, those that were already here. Again, see, because they've lied so much, you have to unveil all the lies, and that takes a lifetime
Mhm.
almost.
Woo,
So
a lot of learning.
if the,
Mhm.
if the Europeans knew that African people were the original people, their whole thing is how do we turn that around, make it negative? Again, when those Europeans came into Africa and our ancestors, I talked to an African guy and he said that their parents told them that when they first saw Caucasians, they thought they were ghosts. They thought they were ghosts.
Yeah.
They had
Yeah.
they had
Pale
never
faces.
seen they had never seen boots like they wear them boots. The boots they had, laced up boots
Yeah.
that they had. They needed those boots to keep them anchored.
Mm.
Okay. So when the European came in, what did
Wow.
our ancestors do? Even though they were skeptical of them, even though they were kind of afraid of them, they welcomed them.
Yep.
They welcomed them with open arms, brought them in,
Mhm.
fed them, exposed them to their culture, let them stay there, you
Showed them
know,
where the resources
show
are
them
so they can.
where how to survive the winter because they
Mhm.
didn't know how to survive in the winter. They taught them everything that they needed to know. And what did
Mhm.
they do? Turn around and take over. They go
Massacred
back
them
to
all.
England and they tell the king and queen, hey, we can just take that over because these people think that everybody's supposed to have it. So we can just trick them and take everything over and then get them to
Mhm.
sign on the dotted line. Now, how do you sign away 100-year lease with an X? You know, see what I'm saying? You know, they all they did was lie and they took advantage of our people.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And so then they come back and say, "Well, this is for 100 years." Well, I didn't. That wasn't what I
Yeah.
saw. See
Yep.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So those are all the things. If we teach our children to go back through
And
history
learn their
and
tactics.
everywhere that the white
Mhm.
talks about it and talks everywhere the white people talk about it, be able to combat that with facts, they checkmate. They checkmate. There's nothing. They can get mad, but they can't do anything to you because again, the truth shall set you free.
But that's what they don't want their children to know. They don't want their children to know
Right,
the truth because if their kids knew the truth, they get mad at them.
right,
And I was
right.
having this
Right.
conversation with somebody that I know. He's white and he goes to the community meetings for the schools. And he was saying that there's been some concerns because he asked, he's like, Shayna, like, do you experience any racism or anything going on, you know, at the school? And I was like, yeah, I do, and I told him about, some of the things that's being taught that I have to deal with. And I go to the schools and talk to the teachers about. And
Mhm.
he goes, well, there's other parents that are raising that concern. And so we're working towards how we can, resolve this with the community and with the Black parents there. And I said, well, you have to teach the truth because that's how you solve it. There's
Mhm.
history that is empowering to the Black youth. There's a lot of racism that the kids
Mhm.
are getting, especially when you just teach that Black people are descendants of slaves and nothing else to empower them. You don't teach about the revolutions. You don't teach about all this other stuff that you were doing and how you enslaved, the tactics that you were using, all these things that, is making them feel like they're superior, and it's make them think it's okay to harm Black people and to bully them. And I gave him a good argument on, what is needed. And you know what he says? He goes, yeah, yeah. The thing is we don't want to hurt our children. And so when he said that, it just, what else am I to say? Your concern is
Right.
your own kids. You don't want to
Mhm.
hurt your kids. You don't want to expose your kids to the harsh reality that your ancestors, their forefathers did such atrocities to another human being.
Mhm.
And
That's the
yeah, and
go
what
ahead.
that does is that clearly says that you choose your children over everyone else. You can care less about
Mhm.
people that do not look like you and how their feelings and what they're going through and their experiences and what they need to be empowered. You can care less about them. That's what I got out of that conversation.
Mhm. Yeah, again, it's like it's just so much, and I'm so happy and proud of you because as a young lady, for you to have the knowledge, the insight, and the wisdom that you have to be able to combat this, because it's so many of your peers that are
Yeah.
clueless, okay, and they're raising children. Okay. So they're feeding their children to them. Like one of the things I learned the other day was, and I thought it was just so uncanny. When the Europeans came into our country and they sat with us around our campfires and ate our food and uh, caroused with our women and
Mhm.
whatever, they told us to get rid of the shamans, the medicine men, those people that helped us stay healthy with with herbs and spices and those kinds of things. They said that's voodoo stuff. Get rid of that. Don't use that. Don't whatever. Okay. When I was coming up, my mother still had some of those old remedies, but my sisters now, people like you don't know that. You don't know those herbs and spices and things
Yeah.
that you can use yourself without paying an arm and a leg. Okay, so now
Mhm.
look at how they flip the script. Now, what they do is they go back to our country, get those herbs and spices, repackage them and put them in a whole food store, and charge you an arm and a leg for them. That's
Mhm.
they're transactional, and we keep going for the same okey doke. You know, we keep going for the same okey doke. I mean, they haven't created and invented crap. All they do is improve on things that we've had. You can go to
Mhm.
Anthony Browder's book on the Nile Valley civilization, and it shows
Mhm.
you he had the blueprint for airplanes
Mm.
thousands
Wow.
of years. See what I mean?
Wow.
Big old picture off of the walls. Big old picture shows you air.
Mm.
See what I'm saying?
Mm.
You know, our ancestors, the Dogon people, they could see they were able to see this the Sirius star
Mm.
thousands of years ago.
Mm.
Europeans just found out about it. Maybe it's a couple hundred years ago. Our ancestors saw it thousands of years ago. Okay,
Mhm.
they lie about the city of Atlantis. See, because that was a
Mhm.
black city,
Mm.
and it
Yeah.
was it was
Yeah.
the
That's the
it was
problem with the
21st
racism.
century stuff. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's the problem with the racism in the educational system. It's racist because when you look at what racism is, it's it's a system where you have certain privileges based on the tone of your skin. And
Mhm.
so the educational system negates, degrades any contribution that is Black. It negates all of that. And it only has white people and their history that they teach. They have no room for anything else. And
Mhm.
so that is so detrimental, knowing that there's thousands, millions of Black minds, Black children that are going to school every single day for hours out of the day, and you intentionally negate any of their contributions and then teach that it's primitive. Oh, what you guys were doing was primitive. You guys were prehistoric. You know what I mean?
Pagan.
Like, yeah, pagan and dynamic. You know, it's just right in your face, and it's so disrespectful. And the fact that we keep going along with it, it shows our brainwashing because we get the same education. So we
Mhm.
don't even know our own history. We
Mhm.
don't know if I hadn't come across, you know, you and meeting you, and then you opened me up to these different books, different types of Black authors to read, I'd still be in the dark. But those
Mhm.
types of books, those types of books, Breaking the Curse of Willie Lynch, reading those types of books helps us see that we are contributing far beyond what we've been told. And it gives us a sense of empowerment. The fact
Mhm.
that they are not willing to empower the Black minds is telling all on its own.
That's
That
right.
they can care less about the Black mind.
That's
They
right.
don't care about Black students. They don't.
That's right. That's right. On the tail end of that, I'm going to add on this. I think this is a good plug for it. Is the United Negro College Fund as their tagline, as their brand when they branded themselves back in the day. It says, "Lying is a terrible thing to
Yes.
waste." They that should be all over the social media. That should be all of,
Yeah.
because Europeans should feel guilty when they think about that.
Yes.
You're wasting those
They know it.
minds. These are God's offspring here to make a contribution to make this world a better place, and you're overtly, covertly, in your face denying
Yes.
these people a
Yes.
right for education. See, they could raise a lot of funds on that. They could raise a lot of funds on that if they marketed like that, because
Mhm.
that's a shame. It's a shame. I
Yes.
mean, they get those statistics. They sit there and they'll see that, like Trump, that
They
idiot.
see
He'll
they
see those statistics. They just, well, that's just that. You know, they don't care. You know, and so again, one of the things that our ancestors taught was that our leaders were chosen by women.
Mm,
They don't talk about that. They don't talk about
mm,
our lead. The Pharaoh was chosen by women. Okay, who better knows men?
women.
We know their character. You know the ones that are confident. You know the
Mhm,
ones that will stand up and fight for you. You know the ones that are going to be fair. You know
mhm,
that.
mhm.
Okay, and part of the deal was, okay, we're going to select you, Richard. We're going to let you be the Pharaoh, but you have to guarantee that you take care of the masses. When
Yeah.
it gets to the point where you're not taking care of the masses, you have to go. Now, the
Mhm.
Europeans changed that, turned that whole thing around with all that 4 years and, run for four
The
offices, citizens run
presidency,
for
their
three, and all that.
politics.
They came up
Mhm,
with all that to trick you. And now you
mhm,
got this idiot up there now talking about he was going to be a dictator.
mhm.
That's all they wanted in the first place. It took them all that time. See, the northern part of the United States, who quote supposedly won the Civil War, they didn't go in and rub out the Southern rebels. They just let them off the hook. They gave them reparations for the slaves that they had to
Mm,
release. Okay, they helped
mm,
them. Okay, then they came up with the Ku Klux Klan to harass us and kill us and hang us, so these white guys could get an advance. They could get an advance on us, get a head
mm.
start on us. We came up with a Wall Street, Black Wall Street. We came up with an Allenstown. Even
Mhm.
with all of that, we didn't have anything. When we left those plantations, we didn't have anything but the clothes on our backs, and they was
That's
raggedy.
right. Mm,
Okay, and we had not been
mhm.
educated because they didn't. It was against the law for us to get caught reading. You could lose your life, your tongue, your
Yep.
whatever. Okay,
Mhm.
so how did we do that? Because we are the original people. We came here when there wasn't nothing
That's right.
here, nature and all of that. We had to make sense of
Mhm.
all of that.
Mhm.
We had to figure out
Mhm.
how to fish to get something to eat. We had
Mhm.
to do all of that. Okay.
Mhm.
And so that's in our DNA. That goes back thousands of years. So we still have that. And
Mhm.
that's what they just can't get over, and that's why they keep, every time they see something, they come in and they try to block us every time. Like that sister, they came out with that book, 1690, Project 1690, or whatever that was. That sister that came out with that book about the slavery, and right before Trump was running for office, and they just got so upset. White people got so upset because they was telling about the history or whatever. That's when they started talking about banning
Mhm.
Black history from school. When that sister came over,
Mhm.
see what I'm saying? So they, again, to me, they don't want to sit. I mean, I always ask this question: Trump's first term in office, I would ask people, how, and Caucasian people, how do you sit across the dinner table from your children, and you know that this guy is the president of the United States, and you know that he's a liar, you know that he's a sex
Mhm.
offender. He's
Mhm.
a sex offender. You know he's a fraud. He committed fraud. He got counts 34
Mhm.
counts of fraud. He was impeached twice. How do you sit across the table from your kids and explain that and say, "Well, that's the white
How
way."
can you sit
Well,
across the
how do
table and
you even
explain
talk
mass
about
shootings in the schools? How do you
it?
explain
Right,
the product of the
right,
society that you so uphold and call yourself superior, and this is what you produce?
right, right.
You can't solve mass shootings? This the best you can do. I know,
Yeah,
dude,
you know,
Trump.
heaven forbid,
Oh, go ahead.
heaven forbid they're not just black kids. I mean, it would be horrible if it was just black kids, but it's white kids too. They still ain't doing nothing about it. They don't care. And this is what I used to tell true students when I worked in the colleges, and they used to laugh at me all the time. I told them, I said, you guys think y'all got it going on. You think that you running the show. I said, you ain't running no show. The adults are running the show. The old people are running the show. They dictating what you're gonna
Yeah,
do,
they're
how
telling you
you
how to
gonna do
work.
it, when you're gonna do it. They're already
Mhm.
doing all that. Right. And they make you think that you're making those decisions. Those are
Mm.
forced decisions. You know, you either go to college or you suffer this kind of life,
Yep,
these
yep,
years. If you look at it from say from 18 to 30, if you go to college, you might have a chance. If you don't go to college, this is what you're going to be
yep.
subject to do during that interim. Job here, job there. You can't stay in this apartment. The rent's too
Mhm.
high here. Gotta get a
Mhm.
new get a car. You know, you're just going from hand to mouth. And that's what they keep wanting our kids to keep doing. But they distract them with all of that YouTube
Social
stuff
media.
and all of that
Mhm.
TikTok stuff and all of that shaking your booty body
Mhm.
stuff and all of that. They distract them with that because they're appealing to their desires. Malcolm said the devil comes to you through
Mhm.
your desires. And that's what
They
young
don't
people
know
need
that.
to understand. All those things that you do is that's taking you down
Mhm.
the wrong path. You know, think that sex early is the greatest thing in the world. We have to teach our kids what
Yeah.
sex is about. Sex is to reproduce. If a sex is to reproduce and you're going to have sex at 15, you want to reproduce? I don't think so. I don't think
Mm-mm.
that's what your intent
Mm-mm.
is, but that's what's going to happen when you do that and you don't
Mhm.
protect yourself.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a sore thumb that only us black people are going to be able to fix, because Caucasians, it's not to their
No,
advantage to fix
no,
that.
no,
For us to
no.
continue to see boys, for our young boys, our young warriors, our young future leaders, our young scientists, our young to see them get sidetracked at 16 because they didn't practice safe sex. And so now you got to go down that primrose path because you want to you want to get out and you want to do right and do what you want to do. But now the system is going to punish you because you didn't finish
And
high
the
school.
the to highlight what we're doing here, we're bringing awareness to why the educational system is failing Black people and the Black mind. because this is the type of stuff that we need in
Mhm.
order to get out of this mental hell that we're experiencing as a collective group. Because our youth are, there's 15-year-old girls that are having multiple abortions at 15 years old, going into Planned
Mhm.
Parenthood and
Oh
getting
man, man.
abortions. Why? Why is this happening? What is causing
Yeah.
this? They
Mhm.
need to know about the programming,
Right.
the social programming that is happening, what's being taught, what's being pumped into our kids' mind, our
Mhm.
youth. And if the educational
Right.
system isn't giving them this
And see,
education, then it's failing them.
right.
Just like when Trump,
And see again,
you know what
what
he just recently did? He's, with a flick of a pen, he signed and enacted a law so the National Guard coming in to deal with the homelessness, deal with the crime in DC. You see how simple that was? Why can't they, with a
Mhm.
flick of a pen, say we're going to teach this in the inner city schools to resolve the issues of the Black community and the youth? No more. You can no longer pump rap toxic music into the radio waves no more. Done. Stop it. They won't do that because it creates a profitable system to exploit the youth, to exploit the Black community.
That's right.
Abortions cost
That's
money
right.
and they're
Right.
expensive.
Mhm.
The school to prison pipeline
Mhm.
is profitable. These systems they created
Mhm.
knowing that these kids are going to go out there and commit crimes, go end up in jail. The fathers are not going to be in home. The women are going to be left unprotected. It's a systemic system. And if you're not teaching this, then it's very
Right.
clear that you do not care about the Black mind. You don't care about Black people. If you're not
Right.
teaching this, if you're not teaching the
Right.
resolution, the resolve. And that's why we need our own separate
Mhm.
education system.
Right. Right. You're not gonna get any holler back from me on that one. I agree with that because they refuse to do it, and we refuse to make them accountable. We just refuse to do that. I mean, again, I remember I worked at a foreign language college, and the parents were immigrants of these children that were in the schools. The parents couldn't read because they just came to this country. When their kids came home to study, what they did to support their children was they sit down with them, even though they didn't understand what they were reading. They were learning how to read themselves now. Okay, so their children was teaching them
Mhm.
how to read, but they were supporting their kids, making them know that education is important. But when you take the position, I never could do math, I don't know nobody that could do math, all you're doing is turning your kid off of math. See, you're making them think that we as a people
Yeah.
can't do math. No, you didn't do math because you didn't apply yourself. I didn't do math because I didn't
I
apply
wasn't good
myself.
at math for a
Part of
long
that was
time,
the teacher,
but
the
what I
teacher,
found is a teacher. Yeah,
the
you need a
teacher.
certain teacher to draw that out of you.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right. They don't. The teachers are ill
Yes,
equipped to
exactly.
teach math. You got a teacher that's teaching three subjects. Come on, you're gonna be the math. The gym teacher is the math teacher. They can't. They don't know the concepts. They don't know how to get
Mm-mm.
that into the kids. You know. And so we keep going around and round and round. So to me, those are the things. Now look at the schools in terms of
Mhm.
funding. Okay, the public schools are funded in the state of Ohio based on the taxes
Mm.
of the citizens. Okay, most of the wealthy people in those suburban areas, they have no problem paying the taxes because they're getting quality schools
Mhm.
and quality student graduates. We're getting zero and paying the same money, you know. And so they come up and say, we want to get this bond levy passed. And we as black people, we feel it's sympathetic and we feel like, well, yeah, that's true. They do need more money. No, 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 no. They need to tax the wealthy more so they can get more money. Those are the ones that they need to
Mhm.
tax more. They're benefiting from the school system because the school system just trained. What did Rockefeller say? We don't want no thinkers.
Workers.
We
Yep.
want workers. And that's what
Mhm.
the schools are doing. They're just cranking out
So
workers. They're not somebody that comes out thinking,
so they're
you know.
getting the
Go
wealthy
ahead.
is getting their share because they're getting a whole uh generation of workers. Every year they're getting more and more workers flooding into their companies. So they should be taxed because that's what we are producing. We're giving you workers. So they should be taxed. Why are you taxing
That's
us?
right.
Why are we being taxed?
Right. 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 Back in the I think it probably was back in the 70s, the Columbus Public
Mm,
Schools, um, there was a lawsuit against them. I think it was his brother. His name was Robert Duncan, Judge Duncan. He ruled on the case and he proved that the school funding system was discriminatory against African American schools,
mhm,
and it passed. They found him guilty, and they said that they had to come with the post haste. They had to correct that. This was in the
mm,
70s. They haven't tested, they haven't done anything with it. Most people, most teachers, most parents, they don't know that's still in effect. That law is
mm.
still on the book. They broke the law because they fund the school systems differently. You can't do that.
Yep.
And that's
Mhm.
still on the books. And we don't never deal with that. We never deal with that. Yet and still, a school comes out, they want to get some more money. Now you got the principals making $1 million, and assistant principals, they making 500,000 or whatever they're making.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How is that helping our children?
Oh my
How is
God.
that helping our children? See what I'm saying? Those people can always scream and cry, I'm overworked. You go to talk to anybody in the school, that's the first thing they're going to tell you. We're just overworked. Well, maybe you need to find another job. Find another job that you're not overworked in. Now
Mm,
you hear some of the school districts saying that they will hire teachers without a degree.
mm.
So what is that? What is that? How does a parent feel about that? Now, what we're going to do, because we always choose to be optimistic, look for positive. We're going to say, well, yeah, well, maybe they can come in. Listen to the preface. Maybe they can come in and do something. No, you don't need no maybe with your baby. You don't want no maybe with your baby. I
Not with
want
my
my baby to
baby.
get educated.
No.
No, I don't want he may get it. No, so they need to train teachers how to teach students from different cultures. They don't have, you go to Ohio State's Department of Education, they ain't got no curriculum in there like that. See what I'm saying? They're going to need that. Teachers need that. Teachers don't, just because you go through 4 years of college, the first 2 years are just kind of you're just floating through college because you're taking general electives and trying to find out what you like and don't like. And the second two,
Mhm,
you get a few courses that might be germane to what you're doing, but you still haven't really been trained.
mhm.
So they put the Caucasian teachers, Johnny come lately people that come right in out of college and they get a job in the school system. They put them in the inner city schools
Mm.
because they're honing their skills on our kids. They
I
oh,
cannot stand that. I cannot stand that if you are in a predominantly non-white neighborhood and you are going in there to teach, it makes me so angry that you're not even teaching the children what they need in order to be successful. You're just teaching a certain curriculum, a certain rhetoric, and that's it. You're just teaching them to assimilate, be like us. This is what you need to know. This is our history. And if you can't pass that, then you just go, then that's it for you. It just makes me so
right.
upset that there's no room for any other type of education besides white European education.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, again, if they want to be in control, maybe they got to control that. They have, one of the things that I think that parents should pay attention to is they should listen a little more carefully to the lyrics of the music that our children are listening to,
Mm,
and they need to pay closer attention to. They have these channels. They got the red fire stick, and they need to look at all. They can have 300 stations that they can show. if they look at the majority of those stations, what is being projected onto our young
Yeah.
people? Sex, violence, getting over, cheating. That's what's being. Now we got now we have more black movies coming on television, but all they are is a takeoff of the gangster
Oh
movies or
my
the violent
gosh,
movies or
I'm
the
so
crazy.
tired of it. All
You
you
know,
see,
I mean, I just get sick
it's
of
the
seeing that.
same.
That's
It's
all what they know
dysfunctional
how to do.
relationships. It's black women with straight hair. You never see a black woman with natural hair on the TV screen. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
violence. We're gangsters. We come from the hood. It's nothing positive. I'm so tired of that
Yeah,
image, that perspective being
right,
shown.
right. And then when they do have one on, it's the buffoonery. When we have a show stays on, it's the buffoonery. See, we can't have a show on there where a brother is a top lawyer and he's helping the people and wins every case. We can't handle cases. No.
Mm-mm,
We can't have one
mm-mm.
where this cat is over a corporation and he's doing good for his people. We can't handle.
Yeah, yeah.
What's they're not true. They say most of the movies are not true. Why can't we
Yeah,
have
it's
movies like that?
unrealistic.
See what I'm saying? No,
Mhm.
we gonna be out bad the bad guys. Now you got girls as gangsters now. They got gangs. They got girl gangs on TV now, where all these sharp sisters, they can stomp guys and beat them in the face with the guns. Who needs to see all of that? I mean, who need over and over and over? And they know repetition is the best teacher, and so they show it over and over and over. So our kids are preoccupied with that. They're afraid.
Mhm.
They're in fear. They're living in fear because they're so preoccupied with that because they see so much violence on television and on their phones. They see so much of it, so they kind of like paranoid. Oh well, again,
Yeah.
I would not want to be a teenager today. I'm telling you. People say, well, you on your way out of here. I'd rather take my chances on my way out of here than to be back there. I don't I wouldn't want that.
Oh, man.
Those ICE guys, they jump out of the car, grab your kid, you don't hear nothing for 3 or 4 days, and then they tell you, well, we don't know what happened to him. And you have no recourse. You have no recourse. Or they pick up your young daughter and rape her and tell her if she says anything, they'll come back and get her and ship her off to El Salvador. We don't understand that. Again, when Trump pardoned the January 6th group that went to that Washington campus, the insurrectionists, they were
Mhm.
insurrectionists. They weren't no this little guys going up there for a picnic. They were insurrectionists trying to overthrow the government. That is a federal crime. This
Why don't
guy
they
comes,
teach that in the schools? Why don't they
yeah,
teach stuff like that?
right. This guy comes into office and pardons each one of those guys. And he's the one that sicked them on the Capitol. Okay. So what does that say about the American public? The
Yeah,
American,
why don't they teach this
European?
why?
Yeah. This is what's going on in their country. We're going to sit here and watch this guy cakewalk us down to dictatorship. He already has the Supreme Court in his pocket. He's already filled all those federal benches over the years. The Republicans filled those benches. They filled most of the benches. They blocked the Democrats every time the Democrats was in office. They blocked them from getting a Supreme Court justice at the federal level. Okay, now they've gone. They started up through local government, planting their people in those local offices, county auditor, treasurer, county treasurer. They fill them up there. So you have all of those. Uh,
Vital
Redneck people
positions.
in those
Mhm.
people in those vital positions. Okay, during the last presidential election, they intimidated people. Right now, they're gerrymandering. Okay, what is that about? Come on, what are we looking at? We see this happening today in 2025, and we pretend that it's not happening.
Well,
I mean,
you lived enough decades where you see this is happening over and over again. You know, people like myself who's only been around 3, 4 decades, and then a
mhm,
youth less than that, they don't know that this is a pattern. This has happened before. You can see what's happening.
mhm, yep. That's just like I keep trying to share with my congressperson. if you guys are not going to come out and educate us about what's going on at the level, how are we going to know?
Yeah.
We see the fight on television. At a press conference, Trump's press secretary was on the other TV live just yesterday lying, just flat out lying. Okay, so now we got a Congressional Black Caucus, 24, 25 people. Why can't they have a news hour? And they come on and talk to the black people. They can talk to everybody, but it'd be about what's happening with black people.
Yeah.
Okay. Why can't they tell? What do we need to be doing? What should we be doing to prepare ourselves for this onslaught of all these executive orders? This is record number of executive orders that's ever been signed into law by a president, and nothing is said. It's like, well, nobody says, well, no, we can't do that, or no, we're not going to do it. No, it's just, okay. I mean, Trump loves that. That's the greatest joy of his job, is signing those executive orders. If you ever see him do it, he's just like a little kid, and then he holds them up, shows them, I mean, he's just like a little kid. I mean, he's the epitome of the poor little rich white boy, spoiled. He's the epitome of that. Okay. He thinks he can do anything he wants to do. Okay. Ain't no consequence for him. He can sell. I mean, how many presidents sell sneakers? How many presidents sell Bibles? How many presidents, eased his way into the Bitcoin business? I mean, his kids now, they got contracts with every foreign country on the planet. When he's getting ready to go overseas to meet with some foreign leaders, his children go in advance and set up the business deals. Ain't nobody checking him on that. Nobody checking him on that. I mean, when Jed Kushner, his son-in-law, walked out of the White House the last day of his presidency, got a $6 billion deal.
Well, you kind of broke up right there. Say that last part. Can you hear me, Mr. Richards?
Connection lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, connected lost. But
okay, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I can hear you. So I mean, it's unfortunate. Unfortunate that we still are not protecting our children, and then we can't understand why they're so angry. Our children are angry because we're leaving helpless in that system. They know that that's not making sense.
Yes.
It's not making
sense.
There's
no pride
what they're telling
being
them
black.
and what they're seeing. That's not making sense to them. Kid want to join the military and go to war for what? The generation to go off and fight in the war and come back and be treated like, yeah. So, the schools are not doing their job. We need to make them accountable. There's a young guy, his name is Otto Beatty. He's Joyce Beatty's stepson. I knew his father. And he's a successful businessman. To me, if he's not coming in and talking about some radical changes, he ain't talking about helping our kids.
Yeah.
You got to be talking about radical changes.
Yeah. At this point, that's the only kind of conversation we need to be having.
And so, to me, you have to go to those meetings. You have to ask the hard questions. What specifically are you going to do to help turn around the failure of Black children in our schools?
Yep.
What are you going to do specifically? Not kind of, sort of, not we got a program that we're thinking about. None of that. What are you going to do that? At the end of the year, what is going to happen? You're going to be able to put out some statistics and say we have this much percentage of an increase in improvement.
Yeah.
And if you can't come up with that, then maybe the parents should file a class action lawsuit against the public school system because they knowingly are miseducating our children. So they're denying them their civil rights in terms of being able to go out and live a good, healthy, wholesome life and get a job.
Education should be empowering.
And what are you going to do about the teachers union? The teachers union is probably one of the strongest unions in the country, and they're the quietest. You don't hear anything out of the student union at teachers union. They're the most powerful. Look at all the school teachers in the United States. That's a powerful union. They should be demanding more from the schools. They should be demanding that they not take history out of the schools. See what I'm saying?
They don't care
somebody in
because
there that's going to be on the school board or whatever, you got to ask the hard questions.
yeah, they don't care because it's not their children they're educating. So if Black kids are being fed to wolves, going to prison, all well.
Right.
I got my check. I go home to my nice neighborhood, put my kids in my own school system that I live in, and that's what I care about.
Well, I want to first of all thank you, young lady, for having been a guest on the show with me, and hope there were some things that we in public listening audience that was of help, that gave them some insight at a point in time. And also would like to extend the welcome to them, to invite them to the Father and Son celebration that will be October the 18th, and it will be held at 1890 East Main Street. You can always get a table, and we will chat with you on the other side at the next time. Thank you.
All right. Hotep, everyone.